I'm beginning to see now why it is that someone like me should have made such an important discovery, and people inside of the system are completely oblivious to it. It all amounts to our worldview, our point of view. I have pulled up on Wikipedia here the definition of worldview. As we all know, all definitions change, but this one will do for now. A comprehensive worldview or worldview is the fundamental cognitive orientation of an individual or society encompassing the entirety of the individual or society's knowledge and point of view. A worldview can include natural philosophy, fundamental, existential, and normative postulates or themes, values, emotions, and ethics. What we have here is I came up in life with a completely different worldview before the discovery was made. Who I am as a person and the groups I associate with are completely different in almost every single way than what a astrophysics researcher or somebody inside of the academic community looks as being, possible, or their worldview. It's completely different. And I went ahead and wrote some notes here. I'll go ahead and read these off to you. An academic does everything by the book. It's safety, security in that. It's, step by step. Me, completely unorthodox, all over the place. And just all over the place. That's how a discovery like this could be made. I was just like wandering all over the place, just like lost in the woods. But an academic does things on the beaten trail, the beaten path. So obviously they're not going to make any great strides. They're all going to be like, cattle in the same line, beaten into the same ground. The academics' experiences are very limited. My experiences were very rich. I had the grand opportunity to be in the military, and it gave me a different type of mindset other than what an academic can experience. Way, way, way different. But very similar also, such as rank structure and, time in service, if you get tenure as a professor and things like that. But there are, some similarities there too. An academic is trained when they're younger, 18 to 22. So you can't be all that worldly when you're 18 to 22 years old. Let's face the facts here. You just got out of your mom and dad's house and you're going to college. You haven't even been in the real world yet. Me, on the other hand, I'm 31. I've already been around the world. I've had experiences unlike anything I've experienced from an 18 to 22-year-old. I mean, those were a part of them, but it kept on going and going and going and going. I have 9 years on a 22-year-old straight out of college. I have real-world experiences. A lot of the academics that are trained in college, they're basically who they are at that moment in time. Me, I've always changed my beliefs to account for different things that have happened to me in my life. I have experience in that. And it's going to get even richer. My personality is going to evolve even more. And the emotional development, I think, of an 18 to 22-year-old who's going to go into the academic community, I don't think their emotional development is very, very profound in regards to having a new idea and then having been ridiculed for it for 4 years. You have to have a certain heart in you to be able to stand that kind of pressure, that kind of hatred and disgust for who you are. You have to always repair your own, face, who you are, your identity, constantly, time and time and time again. And that has allowed me to develop my emotional well-being and my own development to great amounts that I would have never been able to explain if I would have told you in the beginning, like, what's going to happen to me. Because it wasn't just about the topic at hand, the cellular evolution is planet formation. It wasn't just about that. It was about me. It was about me developing as a person, about me coming to terms with my identity, and being able to take something and make it great, and to help people understand what's happening here. It gives me a very big feeling of importance, no matter how much people ridicule me or tell me my ideas are shit, because I know a lot of them are, but maybe somebody can take those ideas and make them something else and branch off in some other way. I don't know. As well, the social development of 18 to 22-year-olds who are going into the academic community, it's very, very, very small. So think, how do you get a degree when you're 22 years old? You just got out of mom and dad's house. You know, to really develop socially, you need to talk to people from around the world. You need to talk to people that are way outside of your comfort zone. And I was raised I was raised to be like that. I lived in Hispanic neighborhoods. I lived in black neighborhoods. I went to all black high school for 1 year when I was a sophomore. I've been in the Marine Corps. I've, lived in other countries. I lived in Japan for 2 years. So my social development in regards, I understand low context, high context cultures, a whole shitload of stuff, even though I only speak English for the most part. I mean, a little bit of Spanish, but to think academics are placed inside of a bubble when they're children, basically. 18 to 22 is basically a child to me. It's somebody who hasn't really, branched out really and made their life as rich as it can be yet, because they just haven't had enough time. So when they get trapped into a little bubble when they're younger, they kind of tend to take that worldview and to make that who they are as they travel through life. They didn't experience all that life has to experience before they decided to form the perceptual set of, this is how everything is. If anybody threatens this worldview, they're wrong, and blah, 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 And that's the kind of mentality all these scientists have, because they were trained to accept that bubble of reality before they came into their, prospective community, such as astronomy or geophysics or whatnot. So they had no intentions to change because that's their little reality. And on that note, they never really had extremely harsh experiences. They never had to really stand up for themselves against their professors, against what they were told in their textbooks, and against larger social groups. They never really had that opportunity. Everything that they were told was in a positive incline. It was, this is how everything works, this is what you should do, this is what you should think about, and then go into your graduate school and get your little degree and do everything by the book and everything's fine. There was never any negative, really bad experiences that could kind of throw them off that positive incline. Me, on the other hand, I had the grand opportunity to go to college for a little bit, get some education in, not fully get a bachelor's degree, go out into the real world, experience it, see what I really wanted to do, see where my life was headed, and bam, I made a major discovery, and now I get the chance to work on this discovery as a 30-year-old man, completely outside of some safe little academic bubble. And I can see their little bubbles as they go around. They're completely clueless. They don't realize that they have a perceptual set that's preventing them from understanding nature. But I do. And if they would just step outside of bounds of that little thing, that little bubble of reality that they formed back when they were, in college and graduate school, they would be able to understand things in the way they're supposed to be understood. And they would be able to view the world in the eyes of a 5-year-old. And that's how you're supposed to look at nature. You're supposed to look at it with unassuming eyes. But they feel safe in assuming all these things to be true. And that's one major, major disadvantage that they have. Because, as you see in one of my papers, I think it's paper number 147, is that there are many hundreds of assumptions that they've taken to be true in order to agree with one another to form what they would call a field of research. But those assumptions, the majority of them, are false. So we have to go ahead and fix that. Today is January 5th, 2016. Hopefully this helps people out. If not, shoot me a line. Give me some ideas to talk about here. All right, later.